Hello and welcome to another episode of my Productivity Mastery series. And in this week's episode, I want to talk to you a little bit about the problem of false economies. Now, what do I mean by false economies? Now, false economies is going out and buying the cheapest product that you can, or delaying upgrading your computer, as I have done in the last 2 years. And the problem with this is that when you do that, you're going to end up with an inferior product. Now, I want to give you a couple of props here. I do have a couple of props. I have right here a 20-year-old Barber jacket. Now, I bought this in 1999. It's a long time ago. And just to prove it, it's actually got the old tartan that Barber used to collect. Now, this jacket is still wearable. I still wear it, not every day, of course, and I certainly don't use it for formal wear. But the thing about this jacket is I have climbed mountains, I've been on hiking expeditions, I've taken my dog for a walk, and every time it rains, this is my go-to jacket. Now, I've looked after it, of course. I have maintained it. I've even had it patched when it's developed some holes. But the thing about this coat is, when I bought this coat 20 years ago, I think it cost about $300, maybe $400, maybe less, $200. I can't remember exactly. It's a long time ago. But the reason is that's a 20-year investment. Now, if I divide that, say, $200 by 20 years, that's basically just costing me $10 a year for 20 years. That's a sound investment. Now, that's the Barber jacket. Now, one of the other things I want to show you is a pair of 20-year-old shoes that I have. Now, these are a pair of Church's shoes that I bought again, actually in 1999. I must have had a lot of money in 1999. Anyway, I bought these shoes in 1999. Now, I don't wear these shoes every day anymore. But the thing about these shoes is if I have an 8 or 10-hour workshop to do, those are my go-to shoes. They are incredibly comfortable. Now, I do remember that these shoes cost me about $400 back in 1999. Now, that was very expensive for shoes back then. It's still expensive for shoes today. Now, the alternative is to buy a new pair of $50 shoes every year. But if I've been doing that for the last 20 years, that means I would have spent around about $1,000 on shoes over 20 years. I bought one pair for $400. Therefore, I've saved myself $600 over a 20-year period. Now, okay, if you divide 600 by 20 years, it's not very much, I know. But this is an example of false economies. If we buy cheap, we usually have to replace regularly. Now, what has this got to do with productivity, you're thinking about? Well, the reason is recently I updated my computer. I've been running, up until October, I ran a iMac for 7 years, and boy was he getting slow at the end, which is why in the end I retired him. I then moved on to using my 5-year-old MacBook Pro. Now, that had a flash drive and it was reasonably fast, and I thought, coming from the iMac, that it was incredibly fast for editing videos and things like that. But I realized a 5-year-old Mac could develop problems, and it's unlikely that I'd be able to update the operating system this year. So I thought, okay, it's time to change. And I invested in a new MacBook Pro. Wow, the speed bump was just incredible. And it just reminded me about, why did I not replace these computers before? And the main reason was I was just basically trying to save money. But the question is, was I really saving money? Because it was taking me a lot longer to do my work. And, you know, we often say time is money. And particularly in my job, where I'm paid basically for time, then essentially it was costing me money. Now, over the last 10 days since I've had my new MacBook Pro, I reckon, and I'm not joking when I say this, I've got about 3 weeks worth of work done in just 1 week. And that was simply because of the speed bump that I got with the new computer. But this also comes in when you're trying to save money on apps. There are some core apps that you need. You need a good, solid to-do list manager. You also need a good, solid note-taking application. Now, sure, Apple Notes is very, very good, and so is Microsoft OneNote, and they are free. And you know, if somebody was coming to it for new, I would probably recommend one of those too. but I invest $50 roughly every year in Evernote, and I've been using Evernote for 9 years. I couldn't operate my work and my job without Evernote because it pretty much captures all my ideas. It captures my student notes, it captures my class notes, it's where I develop ideas. I'm investing $50 a year in Evernote, but how much has Evernote contributed to my bottom line? I think it's contributed a lot more than $50 a year. I don't know how much, it's one of those unquantifiable amounts. But had I been using the free version of Evernote, I wouldn't have been able to take advantage of all its features like I do with the premium version, or I think it's the pro version that I use today. And the same goes with Todoist. Now, yeah, you can operate Todoist on a free basis, but you are missing out on a lot of functionality. And one of those things is the use of filters and the use of labels. And that saves me so much time. I mean, without filters, Todoist would be just the same for me anyway. It would be just the same as any free to-do list manager, but wouldn't have the functionality that I use. Filters allows me to quickly see what I need to get done. There's less decision making. I'm not having to go through long lists of stuff because I've created filters over the years that I've been using Todoist. Now, the same with pretty much any application. There are a lot of free stuff out there, but you are compromising. And when you compromise, you usually have to go round the circles and go round the bushes, which is either taking you more time or not allowing you to do your work more effectively. So you need to be looking at things from the cost benefit of paying for an application, or the cost benefit of upgrading your computer. Sure, you can buy a laptop these days for maybe $200–300, but will it have the power and speed for you to do the work that you really want to get done on it? If so, that's fantastic. But these are the sort of questions you need to ask. False economies have an impact on your productivity. When you go and buy cheaper, slower products, you are compromising on time, and time is one of your most valuable assets. And it's the same with applications. If you're going for the cheaper free versions and you're not prepared to invest a little bit of money, with Evernote, it's about $50 a year. With Todoist, it's about $30 a year. Those two I do know. Then you are going to be compromising. And when you're compromising a lot more than just on features. You're often compromising on time, and that is where it starts getting much more expensive to you for actually doing the work that needs to get done. So although I'm not suggesting that you should all go out there and start spending thousands of dollars on new equipment and so on, but it's something that when time comes, when you're looking at your computer and you think maybe I can get another 6 months out of this 7 or 5 or 6 year old computer, ask yourself, how much is that going to cost you in lost time because your computer is slow? How much is it going to cost you in terms of lost time by buying the cheaper app instead, or not paying for the premium version? Those questions really do come into it if you want to get serious about your productivity. It's one of those things that we often forget, but it's one of those things that I've just been reminded of in the last week or so, and it's something that I've made a promise to myself that I'm not going to make that mistake again. I will be replacing my computer every 3 years from now, because I know that speed and power is still very important if I'm going to get my work done at the most effective way possible. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Productivity Mastery. By the way, if you do have a question that you would like me to answer about productivity, time management, or indeed goal planning, just leave a comment in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to actually answer your question on this particular show. Thanks again for watching. It just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw and you would like to learn more about becoming better organized and more productive, then get yourself enrolled in my free beginner's guide to creating your own COD system. And if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you, then visit my website at carlpullein.com. All the details are in the show notes below.